Thank you for joining us tonight for the debate between Trump and Sanders. The topic on hand will be minimum wage. Should we increase it? What are the impacts of it? Currently, the minimum wage federally sits at $7.25, with some states having their own minimum wage set even higher, such as what can recently be seen in California and its plan to move it up to $15 an hour. But are there some possible negatives to giving more money to workers? Some economists claim that increasing minimum wage will not have an impact on employment. However, a wage increase acts similar to a price floor. When a government imposes a minimum wage, firms are not permitted to pay less than the amount the government mandates. Now, if we look at this huge graph, a surplus of workers will be created, which means unemployment. Unemployment, and then we have retained unskilled workers who lost their jobs, and those induced into the market. Right here, there's a shift from the consumers to the producers, and the new minimum wage acts as a price floor. Additionally, would wages be put under the variable cost of a company? Increasing a firm's total variable cost, and therefore an increase in the total cost, could affect the output if you keep the same amount of workers. Companies would be faced with the dilemma of raising prices to support the wages or having to lay off workers and decreasing their workforce size in order to offset the costs. This quote, "Businesses that rely to a large extent on unskilled labor generally experience dramatic increases in wage expenses as a result of the minimum wage. Since a minimum wage virtually eliminates the company's ability to negotiate wages for their lowest level employees, businesses that employ unskilled labor see their profit margins diminish and their expenses increase, presenting a challenge to their economic growth and introducing a new variable to the economic decision making." Tonight, we're going to ask Sanders and Trump their stance on this issue.
All right, candidates, let's start this off with a fun question. If you could be a cookie, what would you be?
I would be an oatmeal raisin cookie, but everyone else will also be oatmeal raisin cookies. We're going to take all of the cookies from the top 1% of bakers and give them back to the overworked citizens of the United States of America. Every cookie is entitled to a free college education and a living wage.
Without a doubt, I'd be a sugar cookie for personal reasons, but I'd be the biggest sugar cookie because nothing's small with Trump. Now let's talk about the real problem, and that's the chocolate chip cookies coming into this country illegally. We're going to put bakers all along the border. We're going to build the biggest ovens you've ever seen. It's going to be huge! And don't even get me started on those Chinese fortune cookies. They've been killing us in trade for years, but not when I'm president, not with President Trump.
On to the next question. Should we as Americans support an increase in the minimum wage? Why or why not?
Americans need a living wage. So not only are we going to raise the minimum wage, we're going to double it. The minimum wage needs to be a living wage, effective immediately. Everybody gets overtime. Everybody. Business and economic growth require that we raise the minimum wage. I've never worked in a business in my entire life, but I guarantee you government knows how to run things better than any business knows. That's why my plan is not only going to double the minimum wage, but double the national debt.
It's going to be huge. What can I say? We're going to build the biggest minimum wage this country has ever seen. You watch and see.
Wait, Mr. Trump, you support an increase in minimum wage?
Oh, wrong topic. No. The minimum wage, it's fine where it is. It might actually be too high. Let's lower it, unlike my wall.
Mr. Trump, didn't you actually support an increase in the minimum wage at one point? I saw your thing on the Twitters, and which I know you personally tweeted because there was a typo.
Wait, out of all of Trump's tweets you could have chosen, you chose that one?
Stop right there, both of you. This is a classic example of the liberal media trying to spin things off and force me to be politically correct. When I'm president, we're not going to have a politically correct minimum wage. You know what we're going to have? Jobs. Millions of them. So many jobs that it doesn't even matter what the minimum wage is.
So if it doesn't matter, can we raise it?
Another example of the government trying to tell me, Trump, what to do.
Mr. Trump, have you even worked on a minimum wage before?
Have I worked on a minimum wage? I worked hard for everything. The Trump name isn't huge for no reason. I struggled like many Americans to start my own business. I only had an Ivy League education and $1 million loan from my father.
Senator Sanders, can you elaborate on your work experience?
What work experience?
Well, it appears that's all the time we have. Thank y'all for watching tonight.